Through time travel, she became the cherry blossom of Chunye in the world of Hokage. She thought she would slowly live to the end according to the plot of the original work, but unexpectedly, Golden Finger woke up. It's just that other Golden Fingers are helping the protagonist grow. Why should our family be careful not to accidentally destroy the world keywords of the novel? Hokage Sakura Flying Snow with no pop-ups, Hokage Sakura Flying Snow TXT Complete Collection Download, Hokage Sakura Flying Snow Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1. Greetings from the narrow space of time. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Greetings from the narrow space of time. Xiaoying, wake up and have breakfast. Okay, Mom. Upon hearing the sound coming from outside the bedroom, Haruno Sakura got up from the bed, rubbed her eyes, and then began to dress and wash. It has been 4 years since I traveled to this world, from being a naive baby at birth to now growing into a little loli with pink hair and emerald green pupils. Sakura Haruno already knows which world she has traveled to. Naruto, a particularly popular anime in his past life, was also pursued by himself as an anime enthusiast until the end. Then he began to pursue Naruto Next Generation. Boruto Biography. However, one day when he was bored and reviewing the Marvel series of movies online, he suddenly became black without any warning. When he woke up again, he had already become a newborn baby. At the beginning, Haruno Sakura felt both confused, forced, and overwhelmed. Although her parents had passed away early due to an accident in her previous life, she still had many friends. Suddenly crossing over, I'm afraid those friends would be very sad. However, under the careful care of her parents in this lifetime, Sakura Haruno gradually let go of her worries. Since things have already happened, no matter how much she regrets it, it is meaningless. Instead of reminiscing about the past all day, it is better to start a new life well. Not long after she had just become the same, when she was being held by her parents while shopping, a scene she accidentally saw shocked her whole. On the tall mountain wall, sculptures of 4 avatars were clearly visible. It wasn't until then that she realized she might have traveled into the world of Hokage, and then, when she found out her name in this life, she became even more certain. Haruno Sakura, the female protagonist of Naruto World and inheriting the name of Sannin, studied under the 5th generation of Naruto Chikushu, specializing in medical ninjutsu. The strange power inherited from Chikushu was praised even by the 1st generation of Naruto Chikushu during the 4th Ninja War. She was also the girl that Naruto Vortex had loved for a lifetime, but later married the person he originally liked. Uchiha Sasuke. Thinking back on the life of Sakura Haruno in the original work, Sakura couldn't help but feel a bit headache. In the early stages, leading the team, Nagasaki Kakashi had good strength, but unfortunately he was not a good choice for a teacher. Most of the time, his focus was on Uchiha Sasuke, and he didn't even teach his teacher's orphan much. Fortunately, Kakashi had a very good personality, and even if he fought his life, he would protect his companions. In the later stage, I finally became a master, but as the 5th generation Hokage, I was already very busy. Moreover, Chiensho Gangsho was still a gambler and drunkard, and I didn't have much time to teach her. Most of the time, I relied on Haruno Sakura to learn knowledge from books and then had Chiensho Gangsho guide me in key areas. Through my unremitting efforts, I stumbled all the way, but without the inheritance of family secrets or bloodline cheats, I became the new 3 ninjas with the help of my academic prowess. However, although Haruno Sakura's strength in the later stage is very good, even among the female ninjas of the same period, she is the strongest. Unfortunately, her 2 classmates are 2 main characters who play cheating, and compared to them, she can only be said to be one in heaven and one in earth. For her future, Sakura really doesn't know what to do. At present, she can only endure going to school step by step, then graduate, and finally become a teacher under the 1,000-armed master. However, with her body, she is very proficient in chakra control. When she goes to school, she can work hard in this direction, at least laying a solid foundation first. She can't waste too much time like in the original work. Just as Sakura was about to open the door and leave, she held the doorknob in her hand, only to find that the whole world had changed. She was no longer in the bedroom, but in a very unique space. In the pitch-black space, countless light dots of different colors float, forming a nebula-like thing. There are countless light dots, and similarly, these nebulae are countless. The entire space is like a photo of outer space I have seen in my past life, and I am standing in the middle of countless nebulae with my feet suspended in the air. Is this the spiritual space? For some reason, this name suddenly came to Sakura's mind. Just as Sakura was wondering why she suddenly appeared here, 6 clusters of light suddenly appeared in front of her. After the light dissipated, 6 sparkling crystals, resembling gemstones, remained. After the gem appeared, a page of letter appeared out of thin air in front of me. Dear traveler, we apologize for your unexpected travel caused by our employee's operational error. After punishing the employee, we have prepared 6 infinite gemstones as compensation. The gemstones come from Marvel Universe and we believe you have heard of them. Finally, we hope you can have a happy new life. Source: Time Narrow Space. Time and Space Manager, P.S. The dangerous soul in the soul gem has been cleared, and you can use it with confidence, Crazy Dad. As she watched the letter dissipate into the air, Sakura couldn't help but look up and sigh. She didn't expect that she had been traversed due to an operational error. Fortunately, Shizuki was quite good. She took the initiative to compensate herself and even gave herself 6 infinite gemstones. However, the name Shizuki made her feel like she had heard of it somewhere before. Infinite gems, originating from the Marvel Universe, in Marvel movies, with the collection of 6 infinite gems, the Annihilator annihilates half of the life in the universe with just one click. They are almost the oldest and most powerful things in the Marvel Universe. There are 6 infinite gems, namely the Purple Power Gem, which allows users to master and control all the power and energy they try to master. It supports other gemstones and can enhance their function. By using this gem, users can even copy all physical superpowers and make their physical attack and defense abilities unbeatable. People who use gemstones can possess almost the strongest energy in the universe, and even the slightest release can release shockwaves of energy that knock down a large number of enemies. The maximum power can even trigger an energy explosion that destroys the planet. The Green Time Gemstone allows users to reach any point in time, whether it is the distant past or the distant future. With this power, users can watch or experience any era. If users have rich knowledge, they can do more things, even manipulate time and causality. This allows gemstones to be used as a weapon, plunging enemies and the entire world into an infinite cycle of time. The Blue Space Gem, with this gem, people can instantly move themselves or all objects to any space at will. You can also distort or reorder space according to your own will, so abilities such as spatial teleportation and spatial stillness are as simple as breathing in front of the space stone. At the same time, it also contains immense energy. The Orange Soul Gemstone has the ability to steal, manipulate, or modify souls. Gems can not only control the soul of life, but even the dead can be commanded by them. This gemstone is also very dangerous because it possesses some independent self-awareness and a thirsty soul. But ironically, this gem is essentially the entrance to a small, idyllic universe. The Red Reality Gem, with this gem, people can achieve any dream. All scientific rules and natural laws are meaningless in front of it, because it can modify them arbitrarily. The Stone of Reality is not only capable of creating illusions that are indistinguishable from reality, but can be fully transformed into reality as long as the user is willing. The Yellow Soul Gemstone can allow users to enter the minds of others, as well as all dreams, thoughts, and thoughts into the user's brain. It can enhance spiritual strength and increase spiritual abilities. Even under the condition that other gemstones enhance their power, this gemstone can simultaneously enter the hearts of all things that exist. Even a gentle touch can change the user's mind according to their wishes. At the same time, the stone of the soul itself also contains tremendous energy. Recalling the information about the infinite gem in her mind, Sakura only felt that her future was bright. Excited, the 6 infinite gems connected to her heart suddenly shone brightly, and the terrifying power spread from the gems. It's not good, stop it for me. In front of the power that could destroy the universe, the owner of Sakura felt as if she were an ant, but fortunately, these 6 gemstones were now completely under her command. With Sakura's command, the gemstones instantly regained calmness and resuspended in front of Sakura, quietly emitting a faint light. The familiar envelope suddenly popped out and opened in front of Sakura. I forgot to mention earlier that due to the terrifying power of these 6 infinite gemstones, and your own strength being too weak, please be careful when using them. Once the power used exceeds the load of your body will collapse due to inability to bear it. Although soul gemstones can protect your soul from extinction, I believe you will not want to feel the feeling of death. Also attached PS. Please try to maintain emotional stability on a daily basis. The infinite gemstones are connected to your soul. If your emotions fluctuate too much, it is likely to cause the gemstone's power to explode, leading to the destruction of the world. I believe you will not want to see such a result. Finally, that's all for now. Wishing you a happy life, in the narrow space of time, you bunch of scammers, I want to fight against you all the hard. In a space resembling the starry sky of the universe, Sakura let out a frantic scream. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Umbrella, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2 Umbrella, Part 1, Xiaoying, you seem to be in a bad mood today. During breakfast, my mother, Chunye Yachui, looked at the worried Chunye cherry blossoms between her eyebrows with some concern. Well, shouldn't Sakura have someone she likes? Young people's hearts are always so restless. Father Haruno Zhao laughed heartily and said. Please, Dad, your joke is really cold, it's not funny at all. Sakura Haruno sighed. Her dad has a good personality, but he likes to tell cold jokes that can freeze people to death. I just feel that the pressure is too much. Hey. There's a lot of pressure. Why? Chunye Yachui asked in confusion. Although I am just an ordinary person, I have inexplicably become a savior now. The life and death of the whole world are pressing on my shoulders, and this feeling is really not very comfortable. Sakura Haruno sighed with her hands resting on her cheeks. I used to think heroes were cool, but I suddenly realized that heroes were not very cool, but very bitter. What are you talking nonsense about? There are naturally Hokage adults who protect the world. You are just a child and haven't even attended ninja school. It's too early to say you want to protect the world. Haruno Zhao smiled and rubbed Haruno Sakura's head, taking her words as a result of playing too many ninja games. Sure enough, ordinary people never understand me. Sakura Haruno spread out her hand and suddenly felt a feeling of being as cold as blowing snow from the west gate. Ah, it hurts so much. Then the next second, Haruno Sakura covered her forehead and looked at the initiator with teary eyes. A child should have a childlike appearance, not a face full of sadness like an uncle all day long. Haranoya blew back her finger and said, after dinner, you can obediently go out and make friends with me. You must make a few friends of your age before you can go home, understand? Yes, I know. Haruno Sakura sat upright, not daring to resist at all. In this home, the words spoken by her mother Harunoya were like an edict that could not be refuted. After finishing her meal and talking to her parents, Haruno Sakura walked out of the house, preparing to find a grassland to bask in the sun. As a homestead girl, she is really not good at making friends, let alone being only 4 years old and making friends with her peers. She can't learn the playfulness among a group of children. What dazzling sunshine! Lying on the grass, not far away is a clear river. The surrounding trees can hear the chirping of insects and birds, and the fragrance of soil and grass can be clearly smelled in the breath. This natural environment makes Chunye Sakura feel very comfortable, except that the sun in the sky is a bit too dazzling. So, just give it a try at the power of the infinite gem. As she thought about it, Haruno Sakura raised her right hand, and a hint of red light flashed through her emerald-green pupils. The power of the real gem was activated, and an oil paper umbrella began to slowly appear in her right hand. I have the ability to turn fantasy into reality. Even though I can only exert very little power now, making an oil paper umbrella is still not a problem. I inserted the oil paper umbrella created with real gemstones onto the ground beside me, while lying in the shadow under the umbrella. The body of a 4-year-old child can fully use the oil paper umbrella as a sunshade. In this quiet environment, Haruno Sakura felt her brain start to become drowsy, and a drowsiness surged in her heart. However, just as she was about to fall asleep, a group of noisy noises woke her up. Where did the bear child come from? Opening her eyes, Haruno Sakura let out a helpless sigh. In her past life, when her parents were still alive, she was often harassed by her relatives and bear children. Unexpectedly, this time had passed, and she still had to be disturbed by the bear children. Hey, broad forehead, I'm interested in your umbrella. Hurry up and give it to me. I'll allow you to play ninja games with us. A group of children ran over, led by a girl of 5 or 6 years old. As soon as they met, they turned their gaze to the oil paper umbrella of Haruno Sakura and called out a nickname that almost made Haruno Sakura go berserk. Wide forehead. I didn't expect this nickname to still appear. I thought that once I traveled, the nickname that belonged to Harunori Sakura would disappear. But today, she was still called out. For a moment, Harunori felt as if there was a malicious intent from the universe surrounding her. Hey, have you heard me with a wide forehead? Hurry up and deliver this umbrella obediently. You can join our team in the future, and I'll cover you. The leading little girl pinched her waist, looking like a big sister. I'll tell you, my older brother is already a graduate. As long as you listen to me, I promise no one will dare to bully you in the future. Chunye Sakura looked at her quietly, but her eyes rolled helplessly in her heart. Such a young girl knew how to form cliques, and it must be said that people in this world are really precocious enough. What expression is that on your forehead? Are you looking down on me? Due to having a ninja brother, Yasumi Koizumi has always been the envy of many ordinary children, but Sakura Haruno's reaction today made her feel that her dignity was being challenged. Your brain-boosting ability is probably too strong, isn't it? Chunye Sakura stood up from the grass and reached out to pull out her umbrella. She really wanted to hit someone now, but considering that the other person was still a child, it wouldn't be good if she couldn't control herself and hit someone too hard, so she kept holding back her anger. Hey, are you trying to escape? Seeing Haruno Sakura turning around under an umbrella and about to leave, Yasumi Koizumi suddenly became anxious. You can leave the umbrella behind. I said, why are you so obsessed with my umbrella? Haruno Sakura asked somewhat puzzled. Because I like it. Yasumi Koizumi hugged her chest with both hands. The first time she saw this umbrella, she fell in love and was used to the feeling of being centered by the children around her. She also chose to forcibly grab it without hesitation. Haruno Sakura gave her a deep glance, and sure enough, the bear child was the bear child. Just because she was interested, she wanted someone else to give it to her. However, looking up at the oil paper umbrella she had made herself, Sakura Haruno didn't find it strange that the other person fell in love with it at a glance. The surface of the umbrella was mainly white, with a circle of cherry blossom patterns on the outer edge, and on the inner circle, there were 9 tail beasts painted. However, all of these 9 tail beasts had cute style images, and that cute image was indeed very appealing to children. I'm sorry, if you like it, you can go to the store yourself and have the boss customize it for you. My umbrella won't be given away. Haruno Sakura didn't hesitate to reject the other party. This umbrella is not only used to block wind and rain, but she put a lot of effort into making it. Although the whole umbrella looks ordinary, its strength and steel are not much different. Moreover, she plans to continue strengthening this umbrella in the future. When she officially graduates from ninja school, she will use it as her weapon. Wide forehead, you don't want to hand it over, do you? Yame Koizumi's face showed an angry expression. Then don't blame me for grabbing. I don't want to fight with you, don't force me. Haruno Sakura stood in place with an umbrella, her face unchanged. Even though she was only a 4-year-old child now, she possessed the power of 6 infinite gemstones and could not be knocked down by a few children. Hey, you dare to bully people. Be careful, I'll tell your parents. Just as Haruno Sakura was about to knock down a few children and sleep in a different place, a little loli with yellow hair ran out and stopped her. Humph, it's you again, let's go. Yasumi Koizumi looked angrily at the yellow-haired girl who was blocking in front of Sakura Haruno. In the end, she could only leave with a group of children in a fit of anger. Her tolerant brother was not on the same level as the other person's family, and she was too precocious to provoke them. Hello, are you okay? My name is Inoue Yamanaka, what's your name? Shanjong Ino turned around and looked at Chunye Sakura, saying, I saw everything. You're really brave. Can this be called bravery? Haruno Sakura chuckled in silence, just a few children. What's so scary? Yes, facing enemies stronger than yourself without any hesitation, you will definitely be a very powerful ninja in the future. Yamanaka Ino said seriously. My name is Haruno Sakura, you can call me Sakura. Haruno Sakura smiled, it was like fate meeting. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3, Sakura, how could you come here alone? Ino sat next to Sakura and asked curiously. My parents asked me to go out and play with a few peers, but I had no choice but to hide here. Sakura's face was filled with a helpless expression. I really can't play with those childish children. Is it childish? A few black lines suddenly hung down on Inoue's forehead. How could she see the figure of her friend from Sakura's body? Hey! You should be referring to Nara dear Maru from the Nara family. Upon hearing Inoue say that she was very similar to one of her friends, Sakura immediately realized who she was talking about. The young leader of the Nara clan with explosive intelligence in the original work, the military strategist of the 7th generation Hokage Naruto, and the brother-in-law of the 5th generation Hokage Nero. Nara Lumaru. Do you also know him? Inoue looked at Sakura in surprise. I've heard a little about it. Thinking about Nara Lumaru's personality in the original work, Sakura couldn't help but laugh. Perhaps it was due to his high intelligence. Nara Lumaru usually gives people a feeling of being particularly decadent and lacking motivation, but in reality, Nara Lumaru is still a very reliable person. Well, that guy always looks lazy all day. Every time Aunt Gina asks him to go out and play with children, he always says that his peers are too childish to play with. Inoue covered his mouth and laughed. Although I am always forcibly kicked out of the house by Aunt Gina every time. 2 4-year-old little lollies sat on the grass and started chatting, perhaps destined. Although it was only the first time they met, the relationship between the two was like an old friend they had known for a long time. However, for this kind of relationship, Sakura did not think it was a rejection. Hey! What's that over there? While chatting, Xiaoying suddenly turned her head to look in the direction of the river. She could feel a life form floating in the river, and from the strength of its soul, it was definitely not fish or shrimp in the river. It seems like someone drifted over from upstream. Inoue took a closer look and was immediately shocked. Shouldn't we have touched the body, right? It's not a corpse, I can feel his soul is still alive. Xiaoying stood up and ran towards the river. The soul gem can control the soul and naturally perceive it. Although her perception range is relatively small now, she can still clearly perceive the one floating in the river. Running to the riverbank, she saw the thin figure with golden hair floating in the river. She lifted her right hand lightly, and a hint of red light flashed through her emerald-green pupils. The power of the real gem was activated, and an invisible force pulled the floating figure in the river towards her. Ha! At that moment, the many extra souls around her made Sakura feel somewhat puzzled, especially among them. Half were full of killing intent, giving people a feeling of killing intent, and the other half was dead and silent, as if there was no emotion. Naruto Vortex. But when she put the people in the river to the ground and saw their faces, Sakura instantly understood what was going on with the extra people around her. Watching the dark side of the nine-tailed pillar force and root. Those who are full of murderous intent should be the dark department controlled by the third Hokage. They carry out various assassination missions all year round, and it is normal for their murderous intent to penetrate deep into their souls. As for the other half, those who are lifeless and have no emotional fluctuations, should be the root of Jitsuan Tuanzang's control. But these people are really going too far. While giving first aid to Naruto Vortex, Sakura secretly shook her head. Although she didn't know how Naruto drowned, it was a bit excessive that none of these people came out to rescue him. It was easy to say that Genji had no emotions, but in the dark, they didn't have the kind of statement that Genji had to cut off emotions. They were able to watch Naruto almost drown and ignore it, which was really unacceptable to Sakura. Despite being a child of the fourth-generation Hokage and using his body as a container to seal the hero of the tailed beast, he was resented by the entire village. Despite growing up in such an environment, he still maintained a bright heart. No wonder so many people in the original work were moved by him. Rather than saying that Naruto's mouth was too powerful, it was Naruto's steadfast heart that made them empathize with him. "Do you want to take him to the hospital?" Inoue asked nervously. "No need, it's better for us to treat it ourselves than to send it to the hospital." Sakura shook her head. Now, all Kiba is saying that Naruto Vortex is a demon fox. Even if we send him to the hospital, the doctors and nurses in the hospital probably won't help. Why? Inoue asked in confusion, but after Sakura pointed to Naruto's face, she suddenly understood. As a person with a family lineage, Inoue naturally wouldn't believe in such nonsense as the demonic fox incarnation like ordinary civilians do. If the other party is really a demonic fox incarnation, can you still stand there and accuse him unscathed? Pop. Cough cough cough. After a somewhat unprofessional rescue, combined with Sakura secretly using the power of a real gem to help, soon Naruto Vortex woke up. "How do you feel?" Xiaoying took out a handkerchief and handed it over, gesturing for the other person to wipe the water off their face. "Thank you for saving me." Naruto took the handkerchief, wiped the water stains on his face with his head down, and spoke softly, as if afraid of scaring Sakura and Ino. "How did you fall into the river?" Inoue asked in confusion. I went to the river to catch fish to eat, but I accidentally got pulled into the river by the fish." Naruto scratched his head and said awkwardly, "The merchants of Kiba are not willing to sell him anything to eat, so he had no choice but to come and catch fish himself, but he almost lost his life." "What a fool." Sakura looked at Naruto's thin and small body, feeling a little heartbroken. Although he was a boy, his body was even thinner and weaker than that of a girl. This shows how his daily living standards are. If it weren't for his strong vitality as a member of the Vortex clan, he probably wouldn't have been able to hold on long ago. I'm sorry." Naruto couldn't help but tremble when he heard Sakura's words, and his golden hair became somewhat dull. "Why apologize?" Sakura touched Naruto's wet hair and asked. I'm a demon fox, I must have scared you all." Naruto forced a smile on his face, his azure eyes dodging and not daring to look directly at Sakura. "You're not some kind of demon fox." Sakura reached out her finger to pick Naruto's chin and asked him to lift his head to level with her own gaze. You see, the fox spirits are all very charming and charming. If the fox spirits were your appearance, I'm afraid they wouldn't be unemployed. Really? I'm not a fox. Naruto hesitated and asked, his eyes filled with anticipation. This is the fox spirit, do you understand? Xiaoying suddenly took out a piece of white paper, on which many characters with fox ears and fox tails were painted. However, without exception, these characters were dressed in particularly cool clothes, and their postures were also particularly seductive, with a particularly hot figure. At the moment when the white paper was taken out, Sakura felt the hidden shadows around her. Many people's hearts began to fluctuate greatly, even those at the roots had some spiritual fluctuations. He's really different from me. At this age, Naruto is particularly pure. After looking at the picture taken out by Sakura and comparing himself, his eyes lit up instantly. It turned out that he was really not a demon fox. Ah, Sakura, why do you carry such things on your body? Ino blushed with embarrassment, her precocious mind was not as pure as Naruto's. When she saw this picture, she couldn't help but think wildly. Please, Ino, it's just a few pictures. As for such a big reaction. Xiaoying had an innocent expression on her face, almost all of which were characters related to foxes in anime or games she had watched in her previous life. Well, although there were also some inexplicable pictures of meat fans, there was no need for such a big reaction. But, this. Inoue blushed and didn't know what to say. Cough cough, anyway, Naruto, look at them. They are qualified to be called fox spirits, but you, without fox ears or fox tails, how can you be called fox spirits? Sakura covered her mouth and coughed lightly. She put the paper into her pocket and secretly used the power of the real gem to destroy it in an instant. It was better not to let Naruto and Inoue watch too much. If she accidentally led them astray, it wouldn't be good. Is that so? So I'm not a fox, I'm not a fox. Naruto suddenly cried while holding Sakura in his arms. As a child, he had to endure the mental violence and even physical attacks of the entire Kiba village every day, and his heart was naturally very suppressed. However, Sakura's words seemed to be a beam of light illuminating his soul. At this moment, it became the most memorable scene for Naruto. Yes, you are Naruto Vortex from Kiba village, not some kind of demon fox. Suddenly embraced by Naruto, Sakura was stunned for a moment. After regaining her senses, she smiled and patted Naruto's hair, saying, "Oh, from today on, I will be your friend. Let me introduce myself. My name is Sakura Haruno, you can call me Sakura. And me, my name is Yamanaka Inoue, just call me Inoue." Inoue also introduced himself with a smile. "Well, my name is Naruto Vortex, you can call me Naruto." Naruto wiped his tears and a sunny smile appeared on his face, like a small sun. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. The Legend of Otoku Ichiyuki. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. The Legend of Otoku Ichiyuki, Gugu Gugu. Just as Naruto was laughing uncontrollably, his stomach started ringing out of place. "Let's go, it's my treat. It's a celebration of our meeting." Sakura stood up under an umbrella. Although the Haruno family may not be as wealthy as those big families, their parents also opened a shop in Kiba, which can be considered a small and healthy family. Due to Sakura's long-standing residential nature, her pocket money has almost never been used, so it is not a problem to treat Naruto and Inoue to a meal. "Shueimen, I'm sorry for you." In the Hokage office, Sandemo was smoking, and the figure of Naruto Sakura and her companions was displayed on the crystal ball in front of him. When he saw Naruto introducing himself with a smile, Sandemo couldn't help but sigh, and the wrinkles on his forehead deepened. However, Naruto has also made friends now. Hai's daughter and the girl named Chunye Sakura are quite similar to you in terms of girlhood. Thinking of the popular little son in the ninja school back then, Sandaimu felt extremely emotional. Bo-Fong Shuemen was Zelaya's disciple, who was his grandson, but in the end, he didn't find a disciple he couldn't protect, and even his only child couldn't be well protected. For the monitoring of the Hokage of the third generation, Sakura could vaguely sense something, and she was not surprised by it. Naruto, as the nine-tailed Takashi, had a lot of people around him who were responsible for monitoring. If Naruto had any contact with anyone, she would definitely report it in a timely manner. She also knew about the crystal ball of the third generation that could monitor the entire Kiba village. It is estimated that this kind of elusive gaze came from this. Yao Lamian Noodle's shop, as a shop with a high appearance rate in the Fire Shadow, is also a place where countless Fire Shadow fans have made fun of it. Especially, the boss with a pair of squinting eyes was slapped by others, and it was nicknamed Big Tube Wood Yao. It is said that the big barrel of wood and music is the backstage of the whole Fire Shadow world, and the skill of escaping with one hand is comparable to the yin and yang escape of 6 immortals. Usually, he stays with the protagonist as the owner of Lamian Noodle's shop, and is responsible for handing over the Lamian noodles mixed with chakra to the protagonist to help the protagonist cultivate. Every time when there is a major crisis in the wood leaf, it is he who acts behind the back to prevent the wood leaf from being destroyed. The above are all the fantasies of a group of Fire Shadow fans when they are idle. In fact, he is really just a Lamian Noodles shop owner. As for why as an ordinary person, he can survive the crisis of Big Snake Pills Wood Leaf Collapse Plan, Pen's Chaos, Shenluo Tianjing and so on. It can only be said that Yao Lamian Noodle's shop invested in the Fire Shadow drama crew. Uncle Yao, I'm here again. As soon as he entered the door, Naruto cried happily. Uncle Ilu and Calamus are the few people in my village who don't hate him. Naruto also likes to eat in the Lamian Noodles restaurant. However, although the price of Lamian noodles is not too expensive, Naruto, whose main source of income is the Orphan Relief Fund, can't eat it every day, and can only improve his taste occasionally. Therefore, Naruto will be especially happy every time he eats Lamian noodles. Ah, what's wrong with your hand, Uncle Yao? However, as soon as the three of them entered the door, they saw Uncle Yao, whose left hand was tightly wrapped in gauze. Father wanted to create a new taste of Lamian noodles, but he accidentally cut his hand when cutting vegetables. Changpu looked at Uncle Yao with some resentment and said, "It's really true that even though he's already old, he still insists on showing off and cutting vegetables at such a fast speed. As a result, he's injured now." I talked to a Kai from the village a few times yesterday, and then I accidentally got hot-blooded. Uncle Yao looked embarrassed and was infected by Akai's youth slogan. He chose to cut vegetables at his fastest speed, but accidentally cut his hand. My hand is hurt, so it doesn't mean that there is no Lamian noodles to eat. Naruto suddenly became powerless. Sorry, Naruto, if you want to make Lamian noodles, you have to wait until the wound recovers. Uncle Yao said with some guilt. Well, Uncle Yao, may I borrow your kitchen for a while? Sakura put her oil paper umbrella beside the door, turned around and asked. Except for Yao Lamian Noodles restaurant, which is famous for its woody leaves, there is only barbecue. Yao Lamian Noodles is good to say that she can't afford barbecue now. Can you make Lamian noodles, little girl? Uncle Yao looked at Sakura puzzled. A 4-year-old child didn't look like he could cook. A little bit. Xiaoying smiled. In her past life, she was alone, and as a foodie, she not only tasted many delicious foods, but also wrote down many recipes for them. If we talk about eating, without boasting, Chinese cuisine can completely compete with the world. Wearing the miniature chef uniform specially found by Uncle Yao and the chef hat, Sakura now fully felt like a professional chef. When it comes to Lamian noodles, the most famous thing in the past is naturally Lamian noodles ramen. Although Sakura doesn't know the steps of making it, she still can make ordinary Lamian noodles. A piece of dough is constantly pressed and kneaded in the small hand, and after kneading, it is grabbed at both ends and stretched with force, hitting, and moving smoothly, as if making a piece of art. Ramen noodles is gradually taking shape in Xiao Ying's hands. With the blessing of the power gem, Xiao Ying doesn't feel any trouble. The only trouble is probably the length of the arms. The 4-year-old body is only a little longer when the arms are pulled apart. Therefore, Xiao Ying can't make a whole bowl of ramen noodles at one time. Oh, let me make some for you to taste first. If you think it's delicious, I'll continue making it. A bowl of ramen noodles was brought to several people. Sakura took a breath and controlled her body to fall to the ground. Even the stove was taller than her when she was 4 years old. In desperation, Sakura could only use real gems to realize the idea of floating herself. As for how the 3 generations of Huiying saw this, it would be better to push it directly to the blood relay limit. Anyway, the tolerance limit is so big, and no one knows whether there is a blood relay limit that can make people float. Oh, good. Uncle Yale, who was shocked by Xiao Ying's series of operations, unconsciously picked up chopsticks and put a ramen noodles in his mouth. It was full of elasticity, and the taste was strong. Although he used the ingredients of Yale ramen noodles, he had different tastes in different configurations. Although Yale ramen noodles shop also sells ramen noodles, what they call ramen noodles is actually closer to Sakura's instant noodles in previous lives. It is not the same thing as Huaxia ramen noodles. Uncle Yale, who has made ramen noodles all his life, can swear that he has never tasted this kind of ramen noodles in his life. How's it going? How's it going? Naruto drooled as he looked at Uncle Yale. Just looking at his appearance, he felt like he wanted to eat. After smelling the scent floating in the air, he felt even hungry. It's delicious. It's totally different from other ramen noodles I've tasted. Little girl, you have created a new kind of ramen noodles. Uncle Lee's squinting eyes were about to open, and his eyes were fixed on Sakura. Little girl, you are very talented. Why don't you learn to make ramen noodles with me? Don't. Sakura shook her head without hesitation and refused. Although I enjoy delicious food, I don't like to be a professional chef, it's too tiring. Is that so? What a pity. Uncle Yale was so heartbroken that he was almost bleeding. What a great chef seedling, leaving him like this really hurts in his heart. However, although I don't like being a full-time chef, it's still possible to discuss the cooking methods with Uncle Yale in my spare time. Sakura said to uplift Uncle Yale's spirit. Is it really possible? As a lifelong pursuit of food, Uncle Yale was particularly excited at this moment. No problem, I happen to know many different cuisines from the ones we eat now, and we can work together. As for the goal, one day, I want our restaurant to open up throughout the entire ninja world. Sakura said with great enthusiasm that she knew how to make delicious food. Uncle Yale could completely recreate it, and her parents and Akaris would be responsible for managing the store. Uncle Yale would be responsible for researching various delicacies, as well as taking on apprentices and training chefs. One day, she would spread the food of her past life to the whole world. Okay, one day our cuisine will spread throughout the entire world of ninja, and we are the ones who change the world of ninja. Uncle Yale's eyes lit up, and this kind of thing can be said to be the ultimate honor for someone who aspires to pursue food. I said, aren't we here to eat? Why is it suddenly starting to heat up? Ino covered his forehead awkwardly, with a headache on his face. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. The Hardship of the Third Generation Hokage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Hardship of the Third Generation Hokage. Excuse me, can I have a share of ramen noodles? When Sakura finally finished all the ramen noodles and put them on the table, a slightly old voice sounded outside the door of Yao ramen noodle store. Third generation adults. Uncle Yale stood up in surprise, not understanding why third generation Hokage appeared here. Everyone has come, can I still refuse? Xiaoying rolled her eyes in the dark. She knew that Sandai, this sleazy old man, had been monitoring them with a crystal ball. However, she never expected that Sandai would come specifically to grab a meal at this moment. Ha ha. Sandai smiled awkwardly, feeling as if Xiaoying didn't like him very much. Excuse me. Behind the third generation, a ninja wearing a mask and shining silver hair walked in on his own and sat directly at the table without any sense of politeness. Chimu Kakashi. At the first sight of him, Sakura recognized his identity. Inside the entire wooden leaf, with silver white hair and a mask on her face, her left eye was covered by a forehead protector, and there was no one else except Kiki Kakashi. However, the aura emanating from Chimu Kakashi's body now made Sakura furrow her brows, lifeless and indifferent, with only darkness in her heart. It was not like the dark part of the third generation, but rather like the feeling that the roots of Tuanzang gave Sakura. However, upon careful reflection of Kakashi's experience, Sakura was relieved. At this moment, Kakashi was still immersed in the shadow of the deaths of all her companions and teachers, especially when Daitu sacrificed himself to save him, while Lin, who entrusted Daitu with his protection, died in his hands. Without a mental breakdown, it was already the best outcome. Seeing Kakashi staring at her with a dead fish, Sakura sighed helplessly and resigned to making ramen noodles again. Is this the blood inheritance limit? Looking at Sakura floating in mid-air, Sandai felt a little puzzled. Although there were countless strange blood succession boundaries in the ninja realm, the activation of the blood succession boundaries required chakras. Sakura is only a 4-year-old child now and has never practiced chakras. How could she activate the blood succession boundaries? However, this thought only flashed in the depths of her heart and disappeared in an instant. Sakura's parents were indigenous residents of Kiba, so there was no possibility of being a spy. Perhaps this was just an alternative bloodline boundary. I'm starting. Naruto ate ramen noodles in a big mouthful. The 3 generations sitting next to him suddenly felt a little sour. It occurred to him that his 3 disciples had either defected or left unwilling to come back. The only offspring left by his grandson still lived so hard. He was really derelict of duty. Do you have any dreams, Naruto? Sandai suddenly asked. Hey! Is it a dream? Naruto widened his eyes and looked at the grandfather who occasionally goes to deliver food and orphan relief. After thinking for a moment, he asked, what is a dream? It's something you really want to do, said Sandai. What do you want to do? Naruto stopped his chopsticks and tilted his head to ponder for a while, saying, I want to protect Sakura, Ino, Uncle Yael, Sister Akaris, and others, and be able to eat enough every day. Also, I want everyone to recognize me and stop calling me a demon fox. Do you want to protect your companions and be recognized by others? In a daze, Sandai suddenly thought of Bofeng Shui men, with the same golden hair, the same azure eyes, and a particularly similar sunny smile. However, when he heard Naruto's second wish, he felt particularly sad. Thinking of Bofeng Shui men, who passed away at an early age, the complexity in Sandai's heart was indescribable. So, Naruto, do you want to become Hokage? Sandai asked. What is Hokage? Naruto looked at Sandai in confusion, he didn't even understand what Hokage was. Huiying, he is the one guarding the wooden leaves. Sandai smiled and said. Every fire shadow is very popular among the villagers. So, if I become Hokage, will everyone recognize me? Naruto asked eagerly. I will. Then I must become Hokage. Naruto raised his hand and said loudly. He had been disliked by people around him since childhood and longed for recognition from others, which was his deepest obsession in his heart. It's not just about being recognized as Hokage. Sakura turned her head to look at Naruto and said, it's about being recognized as Hokage. Hey! Is there anything different about this? Naruto's head was filled with question marks. He still couldn't understand the meaning of this sentence, but the 3 generations next to him were impressed. This is the will of fire. After finishing their meal, everyone went home separately. Sandai had just returned to the Huiying building with Kakashi when he saw a familiar figure walking towards him. Tuanzang. Ri-Zhan, I heard that Jiuwei Renju Li's little ghost seems to have come into contact with a stranger. Tuanzang leaned on a cane with a gloomy expression. As someone who advocates cultivating the power of the human pillar into an emotionless weapon, he naturally did not want Naruto to make friends, and even wished for Naruto to have a rampage in Kiba. At that time, he could find a reason to implement his own ideas openly. I have my own plans for this matter. Sandai didn't want to talk too much to Tuanzang, as his old classmate's thinking was a bit too dark. Anyone who comes into contact with the 9-tailed Zhu must be arrested to avoid being misled by spies from other villages. Tuanzai snorted coldly, his only eye emitting a murderous aura. Enough, Tuanzang, I will naturally solve this matter. You don't need to intervene in the matter of Jiuwei Renju Li. It is impossible for Sandai to let Tuanzang take action against Naruto according to his ideas, especially when he thinks of Naruto's smile that is very similar to that of Bofeng Shui Men, which further strengthens his inner thoughts. Ri-Zhan, you are just too indecisive. The 9-tailed pillar force, a war weapon, must be controlled. Tuanzang stood in the shadow and argued with Sandai. I am the Hokage. The 3rd generation directly interrupted Tuanzang's words. Tuanzang, do your job well, and don't ask too much about anything else. You. Tuanzang snorted indignantly, but in the end, he had no choice but to turn around and leave. However, the murderous aura in his eyes indicated his true thoughts. Shueimen, Juxina, don't worry, Naruto, I will definitely protect it. Sandai stood by the window, looking at the portrait of Bofeng Shueimen on the fire shadow rock, as if his aura had returned to the state of being called Ningsheng in his youth. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. The Kidnapping Incident in Yunyin Village, Part 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. The Kidnapping Incident in Yunyin Village, Part 1. By the way, why should I do such a thing? It's more suitable to sleep in the sun in such weather, isn't it? In the expanded Yao Lamian Noodles shop, a little boy with a pineapple head was full of decadent expression and said weakly. Recently, the Lamian Noodles shop has a hot business, and there are too many guests. But Uncle Yael's disciples have just begun to learn. Uncle Yael still has the main task of cooking, but there are too many guests. Even Sister Changpu and Naruto Sakura are busy helping there. Just as you have nothing to do, just come here and do what you can. Anyway, if you are not afraid of being taught by Aunt Jinai, you can sneak to the sun. Ino secretly laughed. Although Lumaru was lazy, as long as Nara Yoshino spoke up, even if he didn't want to, he would still do it. It's really troublesome. 4-year-old Nara Lumaru had already shown signs of fatigue in the future. Thinking of the consequences of not cooperating with Inoue, although reluctant in his heart, he could only reluctantly continue his job as a waiter. Don't complain, Uncle Yael has given us a very generous reward, and we can also taste various delicacies created by Sakura. Is there anything else we're not satisfied with? Ino pointed his finger at Lumaru, feeling speechless about his decadent personality. Yes, Lumaru, Uncle Yael's reward is indeed very generous, and most importantly, he can enjoy delicious food. Xiao Daoding, with a chubby figure, almost turned red in his eyes, with a look of longing on his face. Some time ago, Bao Lamian Noodles store launched a brand new Lamian noodles and a variety of different foods, which has triggered the popularity of the whole wood leaf. Many people need to make a long appointment in advance to taste it. Now we just need to do some waitress work to taste it for free, which will make many people envy. Yeah, Uncle Yael's store offers delicious food that not only we love to eat, but even the ninja dogs love it very much. Since my mother brought Haimaru to eat it once, in recent days, Haimaru has been talking a lot about it. Inuzuka and his non-existent Yoshino are holding a plate together. Fortunately, the children in the ninja world have developed very early, and the physical fitness of the 4-year-old child is much stronger than that of Sakura in all aspects in her past life, especially for these children with family inheritance, their bodies are better. By the way, Uncle Yael, are you considered a hired child laborer? Xiaoying stepped on a long sword and flew in the air. Her simple feet floating off the ground didn't make her feel good, so she simply created a sword using real gemstones and played the trick of flying with an imperial sword. The appearance of this sword is based on the appearance of the demon sword in the TV drama, Fairy Sword 3, from a previous life, and it has been specially reduced according to her current body. Well, aren't they all brought by Sakura? You asked Ino to find them, Uncle Yael smiled, appearing particularly innocent. Sure enough, those squinting their eyes were all monsters. On the surface, Uncle Yael, who appeared to be honest, could even throw the blame, and he was so skilled. Sakura silently roast in her heart. Since discussing the future development with Uncle Yael a month ago, both parties have entered the busy mode. Uncle Yael persuaded his parents, and then his father and mother were responsible for expanding the model of Yael ramen noodles. Sakura has become a teacher to guide Uncle Yael to make famous food in his previous life. Facts have proved that delicious food is popular everywhere. Yael ramen noodles restaurant, which has reopened, is now full of customers every day. Many customers have to reserve special seats in advance to have a meal. For this reason, Uncle Yael has started to prepare to open a branch store, and the new disciples are preparing for the branch store. While Naraluwan, Akuta Dinchi, Kozukaya and Yunzi were brought by Ino to experience life and earn some extra money. Except for Naraluwan, who was listless all day, other children were especially happy to work in Lele ramen noodles shop. The amount of pay was not important for children from several big families. The key was that as waiters, they could taste all kinds of new food in front of all guests, which was the most enjoyable place for several children. Due to his special identity, Naruto definitely cannot go out and work as a waiter. He can only stay in the kitchen and work as a kitchen assistant with Sakura. After a busy day, when the store closed, the children were all exhausted, but after finishing a delicious meal, they regained their spirits. Everyone returned home individually, and Sakura stayed behind to discuss the branch plan with Uncle Yael, which made her the last one to leave. Her father, Akira Haruno, and mother, Akira Haruno, went home early to prepare hot water so that Sakura could take a shower and rest immediately after returning home. It seems that cultivating chefs is imperative. Sitting cross-legged on the magic sword, Sakura rubbed her shoulders. She didn't want to be a chef for the rest of her life. Being a capitalist behind the scenes with peace of mind was the right path. At this moment, a malicious soul wave appeared in her perception. That direction seems to be the territory of the Hinata clan, right? Xiaoying frowned tightly, feeling as if she had forgotten something, but the malicious soul wave made her hesitate whether to go and take a look. What can happen to the Hinata clan at this time? As she thought about it, Sakura manipulated her magic sword and flew towards her, unable to control her curiosity. It wasn't until those malicious soul waves began to move that Sakura suddenly remembered them in her mind. The Hinata clan, Yunyin village, is the kidnapping of Hinata. Thinking of the recent news that a delegation from Yunyin village in the Kingdom of Thunder had come to sign a peace agreement, Sakura suddenly realized that in the original work, Hinata had been kidnapped when she was young, and the kidnappers were Yunyin village's delegation. However, when they were finally discovered, Yunyin village turned the tables and forced the third-generation Hokage to surrender in the name of war. Later, Hinata's father, Hinata, chose to commit suicide in order to protect his brother. Yunyin village. We can't let you succeed this time. After living in Kiba for 4 years, Sakura naturally developed feelings for this place. Moreover, this incident can be said to be the source of the tragedy of Hinata Nishimasa. If Hinata Nishimasa had not died, Hinata Nishimasa would probably not have become the image who always talks about fate. In Sakura's perception, the malicious soul waves were rapidly escaping towards the outside of Kiba village, and among these malicious soul waves, there was also a young soul in a dormant state. That kind soul almost instantly confirmed Sakura's guess. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. The Kidnapping Incident in Yunyin Village, Part 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Kidnapping Incident in Yunyin Village, Part 2. To speed up, we must take the target back before the people in Kiba discover it. The leader of the Yunyin Village delegation, who was carrying a cloth bag behind his back, said in a deep voice. The pace under his feet accelerated a bit. Once the Hinata clan found out that their young lady was missing, they would not be able to run away even if their eyes opened. Yes. The three subordinates responded and quickly followed the pace of the leader. When they received this task, they were prepared to sacrifice themselves. However, if they could survive, who would be willing to go to die for nothing? Close. As Mai's barrier was right in front of her, as long as she stepped out of it, she couldn't catch up with them if she wanted to. Just as the leader Quan Sanlang was fantasizing about completing his mission and bringing the young lady of the Hinata clan back to Yunyin village, where he was admired by the villagers and praised by Lei Ying, a voice made him feel like falling into an ice cave. I said, if it's convenient, could you please put the people down? So, the lovely little girl was actually packed in a sack by you. You really don't know how to cherish fragrance and jade. Sakura stepped on the magic sword with both feet, holding an oiled paper umbrella in her left hand, and looked expressionlessly at the tightly packed people. It was only when she realized that Hinata, who was being held in a bag behind Quan Sanlang, was unconscious that she breathed a sigh of relief in her heart. So it's just a child. Quan Sanlang fixed his gaze and breathed a sigh of relief. Thinking of the way he had been startled earlier, a murderous aura surged in his heart. It's a pity that such a lovely child didn't stay at home and sleep well at night, and even came out to wander around. It's a bit hard for me to kill you, but there's no way. Since you caught him, I can only ask you to die. Afraid of being discovered for delaying time, Quan Sanlang threw the bag on his back towards his subordinates, while he took out a kuwu from his ninja bag. With a movement of his feet, his body rushed towards Sakura as fast as lightning. As a seasoned ninja, Quan Sanlang naturally wouldn't have any sympathy thoughts. He's just a child, and there are so many children dying in his hands. Killing another one would have no psychological pressure. It's really troublesome. Faced with the rushing Quan Sanlang, Sakura let out a slight sigh and her mind moved. The magic sword at her feet also flew straight towards Quan Sanlang, but her goal was not to confront Quan Sanlang head-on, but to prepare to save Hinata first. Oh, a kind of health relay limit that can fly. Or a metal health relay limit that can be controlled. But that's not important anymore, go to hell. Quan Sanlang's eyes were full of cruelty, and at the thought of how Sakura died in his hands, a strange sense of satisfaction arose in his heart. At the moment when the two sides were about to come into contact, a sudden blue stream of light appeared in Sakura's eyes, and the light disappeared in an instant without anyone noticing. However, at this moment, Quan Sanlang's face was full of surprise. Was it dodged? Kumo passed through Sakura's body, and Quan Sanlang's years of fighting experience told him that what was stabbed was not a physical object, but rather something that seemed like a remnant and was not a real existence. Quickly leave with the target, her purpose is to save people. Seeing Sakura stepping on her magic sword and flying towards her back, Quan Sanlang immediately understood her plan. He quickly shouted to his three subordinates, while he quickly turned around and charged towards Sakura again. The bitterness was even more covered with a layer of thunder attribute chakra. After what had happened just now, he no longer looked down upon Sakura. The three subordinates who came with Izumi Mitsuro were all ninjas. Upon hearing Izumi Mitsuro's words, they quickly reacted. One of them grabbed a sack and wanted to run away, while the other two stayed behind to prepare for Izumi Mitsuro's joint attack on Sakura. They couldn't let their guard down against any enemy. This was something they learned as soon as they left the school gate. Even if the other party was a little girl, they couldn't underestimate it too much. It is a bloody lesson left by countless predecessors who died on the battlefield of the Ninja World War. You guys are really troublesome. Seeing the three people surrounding her in a triangle, Sakura couldn't help but furrow her brows. If they were to hold her back, Hinata might have been taken away. The speed of the ninjas was very fast, especially since this was already the edge of Konoha. In just a short while, the person with Hinata could run out of the range covered by the barrier. However, although the idea is very good, you have forgotten one thing. Xiaoying suddenly laughed, her pink hair shining brightly under the moonlight. That's it, I can fly. As soon as Sakura spoke these words, Quan Sanlang and his companions were instantly stunned. Ninjas can indeed do many things that may seem incredible to ordinary people, but when it comes to flying, apart from the Earth Shadow 2-day scales and Big Wild Wood in Iwaki Village, there are really no people in the ninja world who can fly. Despair, these two words can perfectly describe the feelings of Quan Sanlang and his team. It's like on the battlefield of cold weapons, when everyone is wielding swords and chopping at each other, one of them suddenly drops their sword in their hand, turns around and carries a laser cannon to aim at the enemy. Faced with this kind of cheating behavior, besides despair, there are probably only two vulgar words in their hearts to curse fiercely. Damn it, take the target at full speed and leave the range of the wooden leaves. As long as we run out of the barrier, we'll win. Quan Sanlang turned his head and shouted, the key now is whether his subordinates can run outside the barrier with their targets in time. As long as they connect with the people outside, their mission will be completed. Do you still want to run? You don't think I can only fly, do you? Xiaoying raised her eyebrows, took an umbrella with her left hand, and extended her right hand towards the fleeing Yunyin village ninja. A red stream of light flashed in her pupils. Reality. The ground beneath ninja's feet in Yunyin village fluctuated, and a layer of rock suddenly emerged from the ground. In the blink of an eye, ninja's feet were firmly fixed on the ground in Yunyin village. Damn it, who the hell is this guy? Quan Sanlang and others quickly ran over and stood with Nakano, their eyes full of anger. The well-planned plan was thus disrupted, and now the people of Kiba probably have discovered that the Miss Hinata clan is missing. Hand over the people obediently, I can let you go, otherwise, you all stay here. Sakura stood in front of the others again, with no emotional fluctuations in her emerald green pupils. However, it was this emotionless gaze that made Quan Sanlang and the others even more fearful. Damn it, since the plan has failed, let's implement the second plan. Quan Sanlang's gaze fixed, and behind him, there was already a commotion in the village of Mai. It was obvious that what they were doing had been discovered, and there was Sakura blocking in front of them. For a while, they couldn't get rid of Sakura's obstruction, and a resolute expression appeared in their eyes. Quan Sanlang reached out and pulled out Kowu, stabbing towards the burlap bag containing the fields. The so-called second plan was specifically designed for the current situation. If the mission fails and the person cannot be taken out, then the target will be killed directly. The young lady of the Hinata clan will be killed, which is enough to cause some trouble for Kiba. Bastard, you're seeking death. Gossip. Empty palm. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Riot Daughter Control. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Riot Daughter Control. A voice full of anger rang out, followed by a gossip palm directly hitting Quan Sanlang's body. The violent chakra instantly knocked Quan Sanlang out, and the big trees on the way were shattered by the collision. Wow! Quan Sanlang opened his mouth and spat out a large mouthful of blood. Even though Yunyin Suan was proficient in the ninja technique and had strong physical fitness, he was caught off guard and directly hit by a move called Bagua Empty Palm, causing him to suffer serious injuries. How dare you kidnap my daughter? Hinata and dozens of ninjas from the Hinata clan surrounded Quan Sanlang and his companions. In their white eyes, anger and desire turned into substance. Although other ninjas had always coveted white eyes, the act of openly attacking the Hinata clan's big and small sisters within the Kiba area had never happened before. Put down the field obediently, I can spare you from dying. Lay done. Fake darkness. Quan Sanlang didn't answer either, and his hands quickly formed a seal. The lightning attribute of chakra turned into a lightning bolt and charged towards the Hinata Rizu. Struggling to the brink of death. Hinata let out a cold snort and dodged Quan Sanlang's thunder escape with a movement of her body. You were deceived. However, Quan Sanlang laughed. His true purpose was never to rely on Lei Dun to deal with Hinata, but to attract Hinata's attention. As for the purpose, Hinata and the other Hinata clan members around them used the instant body technique to save Hinata, but Quan Sanlang and his companions had originally come with a dying heart. When Hinata discovered their thoughts, the three Nakano who were holding Hinata had already taken out Kyumo and wiped it off Hinata's neck. No matter how fast the instant body technique was, it would take reaction time, but Kyumo was only a thin line away from Hinata's neck, and time was not even in time. Hinata's canthus was about to crack, and he wished he could reach Hinata's side in an instant to block the blow for her. Ha, we ultimately won. Quan Sanlang burst out laughing wildly. Soon, with just a little effort from his subordinates, he could kill the young lady of the Hinata clan, and the subsequent plan would be successful. However, in the next second, Quan Sanlang's laughter came to an abrupt end, and Hinata, and others also stopped in their tracks. A small hand grabbed Kuwu, who was about to pierce Hinata's body. No matter how hard Kuwu's owner tried, he couldn't continue to pierce Kuwu. Kuwu's blade was only a line away from Hinata's neck, but this line of distance now turned into a corner of the world. Give up obediently. Soul. Using the space gem, it teleported to Hinata's side and caught a faint yellow light in Sakura's eyes. The struggling owner collapsed and fell asleep on the ground. Lei Dun, let's go and die together. Quan Sanlang's frantic cries came over, and a lightning bolt spread out under his feet, hitting Sakura and Hinata straight. The heart of Hinata, who had just relaxed, suddenly lifted again. Stubborn and dying struggle, is it a ninjutsu with thunder attributes? Give it back to you. The oil paper umbrella was folded up and placed on the magic sword. Sakura held Hinata with one hand and extended the other. The purple energy flowed in her palm, and the lightning escape used by Quan Sanlang was directly absorbed by the purple energy at the moment she approached her. Then, the purple energy mixed with the blue lightning attribute chakra shot out of Sakura's palm and roared towards Quan Sanlang. How could it be? Ah! Quan Sanlang widened his eyes, his face full of disbelief. However, with the blessing of the power gem, Thunder Dun's walking speed was already extremely fast. Just as Quan Sanlang had the idea of dodging, a combination of blue and purple lightning was already in front of him. After strengthening, the Thunder Dun and Earthwalk hit Quan Sanlang, causing him to let out a scream. However, after the thunder, Quan Sanlang, who was seriously injured, received another new blow. Bagua. 2 palms. 4 palms. 8 palms. 16 palms. 32 palms. Bagua. 64 palms. Watching his daughter face 2 consecutive life crises, Hinata has completely entered a state of rampage. With a set of Bagua palm combos, he forcefully turns Quan Sanlang into a floating state, and his body takes the full set of Bagua palm off the ground. By the time Hinata withdrew his palm, Quan Sanlang had already fallen to the ground and could no longer die. However, what was puzzling was that Quan Sanlang had a smile on his face indicating the success of the conspiracy. Not good, impulsive. Hinata's face changed, and he felt a bit regretful for his impulse. Quan Sanlang was sent by Yunyin village to sign a peace agreement, but now he has died under the gossip of the Hinata clan. Hinata can even think of it with his toes. Yunyin village will definitely use this excuse to cause trouble. Father. Hinata, who had been dispelled by the ninjas of the Hinata clan, regained consciousness with the power of medicine. When she saw herself inexplicably appearing in the forest, a bewildered expression appeared on her face. Has Hinata been injured? Aren't she scared? My father is here, so I'm not afraid. The originally calm-faced Hinata instantly transformed into a heartwarming dad, and a teleportation technique ran to Hinata's side. He grabbed Hinata's hand and began asking questions. Daughter control. The words suddenly flashed through Sakura's mind, and Hinata now appears to be a complete daughter control, without any sense of disappointment towards Hinata in the original work. However, it's no wonder that Hinata has not committed suicide to protect him yet. Hinata is only 4 years old and has not yet started practicing. There have been no instances of being defeated by her younger sister, Hua, due to her unwillingness to take action. Hinata naturally will not be disappointed with Hinata's talent like in the original work. However, this daughter's control of the state of Hinata Higashi really surprised Sakura a bit. Late at night, a group of people gathered in Sandai's Hokage office. Sandai sat behind his desk smoking, with Hinata and Sakura Hinata standing in front of him. It seems that besides signing a peace agreement, the people sent by Yunyin village this time should be for the benefit of the Hinata clan. Sandai took a puff of smoke, his expression somewhat solemn. The most troublesome thing now is that they openly came to sign a peace agreement, but inexplicably died under the gossip of the Hinata clan. With the character of Yunyin village, they will definitely use this excuse to cause trouble. If there is a war, the Hinata clan will fully support Lord Hokage. Hinata's face turned cold, thinking of the psychological shadow that Hinata might leave behind. He wished he could pull out Izumi Mitsuru and the others to whip their bodies. The third ninja war has just passed, and if there is another war. The third generation only felt an excruciating headache, and in the end, they could only wave their hands. Let's leave this matter as it is, and the subsequent situation will depend on Yunyin village's attitude. Those 3 generations of grandpas, let's go back first. Sakura sat on the magic sword, dozing off for a moment. Next to her was Hinata, who was also sitting on the magic sword and was extremely curious about her own flying. Well, Sakura did a great job this time. If you hadn't discovered and dragged her away in time, she might have really been kidnapped by them. Sandai's face showed a smile. The blood inheritance limit is very important in every ninja village, and white eyes, which can be transplanted, is even more important. No one wants the enemy village to also obtain this blood inheritance limit. Rizu, why don't you go back first? I will convene an elder group to discuss the follow-up matters and inform you later. Okay. Hinata responded and turned to look at Hinata with a spoiled smile on her face. Hinata, why don't you go home with your father? Tomorrow during the day, will your father take you to play with Sister Sakura? Well, goodbye, Sister Sakura. Hinata whispered to Sakura and was led out by Hinata. Seeing this, after saying goodbye to Sandai, Xiaoying also controlled her magic sword to fly away from the window. This action made Sandai laugh in silence, and her mind couldn't help but think of Zilayi, her favorite disciple who likes to jump through the window. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Work to pay off debts, youth. Above. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Work to pay off debts, youth. Above, at about 10 o'clock in the morning, Al Lamian Noodle's shop was full of people. Neither they nor the newly recruited waiters were very busy. When Rishiang Rizu came here with the little hand of Shida, he felt slightly surprised. As the owner of Rishian Yao Lami and Noodles, he had many things to do every day, and had no time to pay attention to the changes of Yao Ramen Shop. Sister Sakura, I'm here. As soon as Sakura, who was pulled out of the kitchen by Ino, walked outside, she heard Hinata's happy cries. Hello Rizu clan leader. Sakura first greeted Hinata Rizu, then took Hinata's hand and pulled her to her side to sit down. Thank you very much for yesterday's incident. Hinata frowned as she saw Hinata, who was particularly close to Sakura, her jealousy in her eyes almost turned to substance. Her daughter had never been so close to her before. Why is she so close to Sakura, who has only just met once? Cough, there's no need to be polite, the leader of the Rizu clan. Everyone is from Konoha, this is what I should do. Xiaoying let out a light cough, and Hinata couldn't bear the gloomy expression on her face. It was too discordant. Although that's the case, I still want to thank Miss Haruno for her help. Whenever there is a need in the future, the Hinata clan will definitely do their best to help. Hinata made a promise, with a hint of fear in her eyes. If it weren't for Sakura's timely action yesterday, it was very likely that Izumi Sanlang and his team would have kidnapped Hinata. Even if they couldn't, Hinata's life would have been greatly threatened. Head Rizu needn't say so seriously. I am friends with Daida now, and friends are in danger, so naturally they want to help. Sakura took the dim sum from Ino and put them on the table in front of him, picked up one and handed it to Daida. You only met once, how could you become friends? Also, why is Hinata so intimate with you? Have you ever laughed at me before? Watching Hinata smile happily and taste the pastry handed over by Sakura, Hinata's heart was filled with jealousy, emitting a very unpleasant aura. Is the leader of the Hinata clan wondering why I have such a good relationship with Hinata? Sakura picked up a teacup and took a sip of tea, trying not to let herself see Hinata's face, which was so sour that it was almost dripping with vinegar. Hinata didn't say a word, but the meaning was clearly visible in her eyes. Sometimes, fate is a magical thing, just like me, Inoue, and Naruto. When we first met, we became good friends who talked about everything, and so were Maru and his companions. Although they were strangers before, they could quickly become good friends. All of this can only be said to be the magic of fate. Xiaoying smiled and said, then took on another sentence. Of course, besides fate, there is also an attitude issue. I am willing to open my heart and be friends with them, and they can all feel it. However, you, the leader of the Rizu clan, are too serious. You keep a straight face all day. How could Hinata dare to joke with you? Is it too serious? Hinata thought carefully, as if it was really like this. As the head of the Hinata clan, he must have remained calm. When facing other members of the clan, he was accustomed to this expression. Therefore, although he was very happy when facing Hinata, his expression on his face was still subconsciously fixed like this. In addition, the overall atmosphere of the Hinata clan was quite rigid, and he rarely went to chat and play with Hinata. No wonder Hinata always felt a little nervous when facing him. If you have time, you may want to observe how other parents and children in Kiba village get along. Perhaps you can find a solution. Sakura suggested. She could feel Hinata's love for Hinata, but Hinata's face was too serious. The dignity of being the head of the household all year round is not something that ordinary children can accept. I will consider it. Hinata was lost in thought and prepared to sneak off to the street to see how other families' parents and children interact. At this moment, a masked dark figure suddenly appeared, interrupting Hinata's thinking. Master Rizu, Master Hokage, please. After saying these words, the dark side disappeared instantly again. He was just a messenger, and other things had little to do with him. Hinata furrowed their brows, indicating that they were about to discuss what happened last night. Miss Haruno, Hinata, please take care of her first. I need to go to the Hokage office first. Okay, don't worry, Rizu clan leader. I will take good care of Hinata. Sakura couldn't wait for Hinata Rizu to leave quickly and chat with such a rigid and serious person, feeling a lot of pressure in her heart. When Rishyang Rizu left, Sakura directly took Yuda to the kitchen. Yuda was introverted and not suitable for the job of waiter. Instead, she helped to do some quiet things like dim sum in the kitchen. On the street of my village, a small Zheng Taijing with a fan logo printed on his back walked with a displeased expression, looking down. His brother, who had promised to play with him, actually stood him up again, which made him, as a brother in charge, very unhappy. When I walked near the Yao Lamian noodles shop, the little round fan Zheng Tai, who was a little hungry, went straight in without much thought. After looking at the menu and ordering a tomato and egg noodles, she continued to sulk. Does anyone eat the King of Fighters meal, or is it a child from the Uchiha clan who comes to eat the King of Fighters meal? A few question marks appeared on Sakura's head after receiving a notice from Ino. How could the Uchiha clan, who have a big family, possibly need to eat the king's meal? Do you see in the original work that even the orphan Uchiha Daitu is not very short of money? She believes that ordinary people eat king's meals, but the Uchiha clan. It's strange that they would do such a shameful thing with their arrogant personality. When Sakura walked out of the kitchen and saw the little Zheng Tai who had been caught for eating a domineering meal, she almost didn't laugh out loud. Uchiha Sasuke. Think about the middle school sophomore boy who became particularly lonely due to hatred in the original work, and then look at the now blushing tomato like little Masataka. Suddenly, Sakura wants to burst out laughing. Can this be considered Sasa's dark history? Do you know me? Uchiha Sasuke's face instantly turned even redder, forgetting that being caught without money for eating the king's meal was already embarrassing. Unexpectedly, the other party still knew him. In just an instant, Sasuke felt that his life had become bleak. That's it. Sakura looked at the busy Lumaru and others in the store, and suddenly had a very good idea in her heart. She gathered 9 people from the same period to work together, which seemed quite good. Can you send someone to go with me to the residence of the Uchiha clan? I'll go home and give you the money. For some reason, Sasuke suddenly felt a cool breeze rising from his back, as if something bad was about to happen. It's not urgent, let's sit down and have a good conversation first. A smile curved around Sakura's mouth. It was not easy for her to encounter this opportunity, but you bumped into it yourself. Do you still want to leave so easily? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Work to pay off debts, youth. Below. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Work to pay off debts, youth. Below, that is to say, you ran out of anger because your brother let go of you and eloped with Yuzebo Jishue, but you forgot to bring the money, right? After repeated questioning by Sakura, Sasuke hesitated and revealed the truth of the matter. Brother, he didn't elope with brother Jishue. Upon hearing the word elopement popping up from Sakura's mouth, Sasuke, who had a serious brother-controlled plot, instantly exploded. Why did he leave you as a younger brother and leave with someone else? Sakura smiled and changed her mind, trying to shift Sasuke's thinking to achieve her next plan. If it weren't for being seduced by someone else, do you think you would be willing to abandon your lovely younger brother? He He has a task. Sasuke stuttered as he defended himself. However, thinking that his brother has been standing up more and more times lately, the alarm in his heart instantly sounded. Is it possible that his brother was really lured away by brother Jishue? But as far as I know, ninja missions are always taken in advance. It seems that your brother is not a dark or upper ninja, how could he always receive urgent missions? Sakura tried to reverse Sasuke's thinking. So your brother was actually hooked away by a fox spirit outside of home. Over time, one day, your brother will completely abandon you and ignore you. Impossible, brother won't ignore me. Sasuke's anxious tears were about to come out, and his head couldn't help but fall into a vicious cycle of his brother being hooked away and not liking himself. Don't panic, do you want to hook your brother's heart back? Xiaoying picked up her teacup and took a sip, but she smiled in her heart, indicating that her plan could be implemented soon. Is it really possible? Sasuke's eyes sparkled, as if someone who had fallen into the river had grabbed a life-saving straw. It's simple, just follow my method and I guarantee your brother will change his mind. Sakura's mouth curled up and she smiled happily, but for some reason, Sasuke felt a chill in her back. Put this on, you'll be a welcome lady in the store first. No, welcome young master, pay off the debt you owe first. Xiaoying took out a pink cat earring and handed it over, her eyes filled with anticipation. Do you want to wear this? Sasuke's expression was very conflicted. Although he was young, he also felt that decorative items like cat ears should be worn by girls, right? That's right, what you just ate was actually specially made tomato and egg noodles. There is only one serving in the world, and the price is very expensive, so if you want to pay off the debt, you definitely can't work like everyone else. Sakura lied without changing her expression. Your job is to put on this cat ear accessory and stand at the store door. When a customer comes, just smile and say, welcome. When you finish work at night, I'll tell you the way to recover your brother. Okay. Thinking of his brother, Sasuke instantly regained his energy, took the cat ear accessory and put it on his head, ran to the store door, and took the initiative to start working. It's really cute. Ino looked at Sasuke, whose face was slightly red and wearing cat ears, with red hearts in his eyes, muttering to himself. Click. The sound of the camera shutter came, and Sakura smiled as she put down the camera in her hand. This photo is very memorable. Sasuke in his childhood was not as cold and lonely as he was after Uchiha was exterminated. Instead, he was particularly shy. With this photo, we will see how he still gets cold in the future. Naruto, come with me for a moment. Sakura grabbed the called-out Naruto and ran away. She was now going to make a piece of clothing to carry out her next plan. In the clothing store in Kiba village, Sakura started drawing the clothes she wanted to make with a pen and paper, and the shop owner was very curious. Little girl, the one you want to make is not cheap. The clothing store owner reminded me. According to little Sakura's description, the materials used in the production are relatively expensive. 2 4-year-old children probably don't have that much money, do they? Don't worry, boss, we are not short of money. Sakura took out a pile of money and patted it on the table. Yao Lamian Noodles' business is very hot. Such money is really nothing to her. As long as you can do everything I want before the sun sets in the afternoon, I can pay double the wages. Okay, no problem. The owner of the clothing store agreed without hesitation. Before the sun goes down, it can be done well. It just takes a little effort to speed up, but it's nothing compared to doubling the wage. The clothing store owner and employees began to get busy, and as big customers who didn't need money, Sakura and Naruto were both invited to sit aside and wait. Naruto, have you encountered something? Why is there an unhappy expression on your face? Seeing Naruto bowing his head and looking very low, Sakura asked with great concern. I don't have it. Naruto smirked and scratched his head, as if his expression earlier was all fake. You're laughing too falsely. Sakura mercilessly poked Naruto's fake smile. Be obedient and tell the truth, don't think you can deceive me. It's nothing, it's just that I feel like Sakura really cares about that person named Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto's pupils contain a hint of concern. He finally made friends with Sakura and the others, who have never had many friends. In his heart, he naturally values this friendship, but today Sasuke's appearance makes him feel like his friend's attention has been drawn away. Don't worry. Sakura suddenly realized that she had been jealous and worried about losing the hard-won friendship after making a fuss for a long time. No matter how many new friends we make in the future, you will always be you. There is only one Naruto, and this is something that will never change. So, don't worry anymore. Your position in my heart can never be replaced. Really? Naruto asked in surprise. Of course, be more confident, you are Naruto Vortex. Sakura smiled helplessly and pointed her finger at Naruto's forehead. What should she say? The enmity between Indra and Azura is really deep enough. When Lumaru and the others appeared before, Naruto didn't feel any worries or emotions. However, just as Sasuke appeared, Naruto immediately had a tendency to explode his feathers, which is truly a legendary entanglement in love for 3 lifetimes. Hee hee. Naruto began to giggle again. Since encountering Sakura, he felt that the world had become sunny. He had his peers who didn't dislike him, Uncle Yale, Uncle Chunye, and others who didn't dislike him. He didn't have to worry about not having enough to eat every day. When helping in the kitchen, those chef apprentices didn't show any hatred towards him. All of this made him feel like he was living in a dream. End of this chapter.